Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Glad you made it. It's another social production. Boys and girls, welcome back. Glad you made it. It is Wednesday, November the 22nd, 2023. Thank you again for joining me. If it's your first time, buckle up, buckle down. Where can you find these videos? On Instagram, follow me there. Subscribe on YouTube for the full-length videos. Check out patreon.com/RobSadri if you'd like to fiscally support the show. Where does it drop? Every week. Once again, Instagram, follow me there. Subscribe on YouTube. Check out patreon.com/RobSadri. Wednesdays and Fridays moving forward. If you've been with me from the get-go, sending all the love right back to you wherever you are in and around the world. If you're just joining us today, if it's your first time, buckle up. We're a teeny tiny little snowball that's snowballing down the hill, gaining steam, just as snowballs do. Typical snowball behavior, classic. Snowballs gaining steam. We're picking up momentum. Each and every day we're growing. Sometimes, sure, it gets cold outside, or it might just be the nerves and we shrink, we shrivel up, but we come up and we show up again. Bigger, faster, stronger, a little bit more veins, a little bit more fucking blood is pumping in all the right regions is all I'm trying to tell you. So thank you again. If it's your first time, buckle up, buckle down. If you've been with me, let's rock and roll. Let's have some fun. Talk about everything and nothing today. I want to talk about a whole bunch of different stuff. We're going to try to cover as many items, not that there are any items to be covered, not that there are any agendas, not that there's any rules, not that we go one, we don't go to the right, we don't go to the left, we don't go up, we don't go down, we roam around. Sure, we actually do go around all those directions, but then we just get centered together. And I hope your tits are firm, and I hope your balls are fluffed, ready for the holiday season. Man, oh man, I'm glad to be with you guys and gals out there and wherever you are, in and around the world, anywhere in Canada. Sip, sip to the gang. Down south in the United States. Sip, sip to the gang. Further down south in Mexico. Argentina, what's going on in South America? We'll talk about that as well. Over there in Europe, Asia, Middle East, Africa, New Zealand, Australia, Caribbean islands, Northwest Territories, back in Canada again. You didn't think we'd go there, did you? But we just did. We did. We went all around the world, and we'll keep turning and turning and turning until we touch down in every spot possible. Until you're touching me and I'm touching you. Not physically, but hearts touching via the internet, and then hopefully some of y'all get to see in person. Our hearts can come closer and touch, and again, not so much in a physical sense, but touch nonetheless. Feels good. It is, and also shout out to anybody tuning in from prisons. I just thought about that. You never know, because there's so much on the available to anybody. And if you're wrongfully convicted of a crime and you're behind bars and you're tuning in, and keep going at it. Read those law books. You got it, sister. Hold it down, brother. Right there with you. Fucking let's go. You're gonna get free. I believe in you. So keep on talking about the show in prison. Max facility. Bitches in max facility. You know what it is, mommy. You know I want you to be free out there if you've been wrongfully convicted. But if you've done the crime and you're watching, shout out to you as well, boo-boo. Much love. Also, fucking keep on doing you, baby. All I'm trying to say is that, man, I feel good. I'm feeling good. Thank you. So it is holiday season. We are stepping into right now. As Canadians, we've already had our Thanksgiving. But I'd like to start with, just because it is, down south, and we're touching the United States and we're very close like this. Walking right there, dudes. So you guys down there are having your Thanksgiving, I believe this week, if I'm not mistaken, right before the holiday season kicks into the, until Christmas, get your little batch of turkey. But before you get ready for Thanksgiving, before you engage in any of these activities that are holiday related, you're gonna have to capture yourself a bird, a turkey. You're gonna have to find a way to get a bird, essentially, for you to enjoy with your family members. A lot of people out there, I'm not gonna go over conventional methods of getting the bird. We're gonna go over some alternatives. We're gonna go over some, potential possibilities that you might have not thought of on your own, or you might have, but you thought you were alone out there. And I just want you to know, hear this message: you're not alone. We got you. Together as a global syndicate, we got your back. So turkeys, these birds. Typically, a lot of people like to go get the birds. I like to utilize a whole new method. I say we let the birds come to us this time around, moving forward. It is the future after all. It is the 2020s, the roaring 20s, as they'll say later on down the line. We won't say it now because that if we call our, but down the line, 70 years from now, they'll look back and be like, man, those roaring 20s. And you'd be like, what, the 1920s? No, bitch, the 2020s. The actual roaring, because shit was popping in every direction. Locally, globally, region to region, coast to coast, man, pole to pole, fucking right there on the equator, vibrating. Things were popping. They'll say that shit. And if they won't, well, it's on record now. They'll look back at this video and be like, man, the 20s was fucking roaring. In case you missed it, in case you're born in the future and you're tuning, but that's neither here or there. Let's concentrate on the bird. You want to capture a bird, typically you could either go hunting or you could go to your local grocery store and pick up a bird. Grocery store, easily, accessible to everybody. Hunting is next level. That's just one. But like, I like to, if we are gonna go hunt these bitches, if we're gonna get a bird, I say we play a long, we play a short, we play it fast, we play it loose, baby. Don't let them know you're coming. First of all, don't go out there dressed like a turkey. Do not go out there dabbing turkey piss on your neck out there, although that probably will help entice some. Never mind, dab some turkey piss. We're gonna just dab some turkey piss right here on the neck, a little bit on the wrist, a little bit around the old nether regions, right? A dab piss right there, right there, right there, and you're out there going after the birds. It's easy to, if you find them within their families, within their groups. I don't know what a group of turkey is called, but a flock of turkeys doesn't sound right. A gaggle of turkeys. A murder, that's for crows. Who knows? These fuckers hang out in groups. And what you want to do is find one, isolate one, get close to them, but then remove yourself from the situation. Wait a little bit, get close to them again, break contact, remove yourself from the situation, pop back in, get close once again. Build a relationship of sorts is what I'm trying to tell you. After they get comfortable, perhaps utilize more piss on the old neck, the wrist, the nether regions. That's when you can start plucking feathers every time you go visit the gang of turkeys. Pluck a couple of feathers, not too much at a time because they'll notice. Couple here and there when they're shaking, when they're dancing, when they're snorting coke, sniffing coke off other turkeys' assholes, when they're not paying attention. Snatch a couple of feathers, keep collecting. Once you got enough to cover your body, add more piss to the neck, wrist, nether regions. Start applying the feathers. Boom. Now you got yourself a full-blown human-sized turkey costume, but it's realistic. It's not one of the fugazi ones where the turkeys see you and they're like, I know a fake turkey when I see one coming in my way, and that is a rubber turkey. No rubber here. It's all, we're raw dogging this shit today. What you'd like to do is essentially be able to make a friendship with one of the turkeys, get close, and one day when they're not paying attention, pop, right there, put them in a chokehold, take them out somewhere, buy them dinner, a nice dinner, maybe a Last Supper sort of situation, maybe get them anything that they like, make sure that they feel good about themselves, let them feel relieved of the tensions of the world, or whatever stresses are on their plates, whatever weight is on their shoulders, just let them relax a little bit. And then boom, right there, that's when you go for the jugular, because you want them to be in a relaxed state, because that's, you don't want the meat to go bad, because if they're scared, then they produce some sort of toxins in their bodies, as most animals do. And man, you don't want, although there's something to say about that, that's a difference. There's debate. Some people like the animals to be stressed out whilst they're going out, because they say that, releases some sort of, who knows, some sort of chemical reaction in the body. Some people like the chemical reaction in their meat. Some people want to go less chemical reaction, just very au naturel. Whatever your methods are, hide out in the evening, park a car, scout their whole, whereabouts, get to know their daily routines. When are they getting up for work? When are they working? Are they a family turkey? Are they a single turkey. What's the vibe? You know what I mean? You don't want to just, essentially, you want to go fucking, you know, you want to ninja this shit. You want to go in there and catch them off guard. Don't let them know you're coming. And however your method of getting a bird, capturing a bird, letting a bird come to you, this Thanksgiving, I want you to remember one thing and one thing only. Okay, remember, man, there's so many things to remember, but one thing that is, the world needs more love. And as you're chewing down that fucking turkey, like, num, 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 filling your face with mashed potatoes, gravy, and all the other essentials that go in a Thanksgiving din-din. Lunch, a din-din. A lun, a din-din. It's a din-din, that's right. Fucking remember that. Love you guys and gals out there. Man, oh man. Boys and girls, ladies and gents. Shout out to everybody in and around the world. There's so many things happening. And again, I said we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff. And we'll see how many we can fit in. Oh, well, let's get loose, baby. Let's have some fun in this bitch. No particular order. In no particular order. Hypothetical situations. You might be caught up in a position where somebody's asking you, you get approached. We're segueing now, and there's a lot of segues today. Somehow I want to manage to we'll make it work together. Segue time nonetheless. You've been approached, and you got to go wear wire somewhere. Why? I don't know what you do. I don't know who you are, but you've been approached to wear wire. And the many stages of being approached to wear a wire to, let's say, go gather some information on a highly sensitive mission that only can be done by you. Yes, you sexy, gorgeous sons and daughters of bitches out there. So you've been approached to wear a wire. First, you're like, you're just doing your regular you. You're going about everyday life. It's a regular, normal Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. But you've been approached, son, daughter, cousin, I don't know how many kids, family members, mi familia, you know, because we're all one large family. No incest, but family nonetheless, the human race. One love. Point is, you get approached. You're going about, you got your regular briefcase, you go to your meetings, you're an executive at an office, you are a chef, you're a sous chef, and you fucking chop them onions and you fucking broil the fish and you'd grill the steak and you'd steam the vegetables and you fucking take those orders and you make sure that they're on, you make sure the team, the kitchen staff team, everybody's on top of their shit. The carrots are getting chopped, the ice is getting diced, everything is getting grated, everything is getting just, a little bit of pepper here, a little bit of salt there. Essentially, you get approached and you are to wear wire and go gather some intel. First step when getting approached to wear wire, what do? First step, you refuse. No, I'm not gonna, because you don't want to just be too eager to wear wire, because that'd be strange and odd. If somebody were to randomly approach you today and say, wear wire, and you gotta go inside this building, gather sensitive information, what are you gonna do? No, not interested. You got the wrong guy, man. You got the wrong lady, you'll say that. Fluffing your tits. Wrong lady while smoking a cigarette outside your Michelin star restaurant, because it's high stress running a Michelin star restaurant, or you're smoking, adjusting those tits on your break. Right there. Do I go with a bra? Do I go without a bra? These are all the questions that you ask yourself as you're preparing for your day as a top sous chef or just top chef. Not a bottom chef. Not that there's anything wrong with bottom chefs, but you're a top chef. One of the best chefs out there, and you're adjusting tits, approach. We're gonna need you, yes you, to wear wire. You're like, you got the wrong person. Fluffing a hat, fluffing a tit, flicking a cig. All right, you do all that. And then they're like, no, trust us. We've been keeping an eye on you, and there's a great place right next door for us to gather intel. And you're like, why don't you hire somebody from within the whatever intel community that you happen to represent? Why don't you? They're like, we want somebody who's on the outside but on the inside. You're like, I'm not on the outside but on the inside. It doesn't matter. You get approached. Now you gotta, okay, you deny. First step, we got that out of the way. You deny and you say, no, I will not do this. I will not participate in your dirty games, man. And that's when they start pushing it on you. You're like, well, does Stacy love a new Corvette with tits on it? Does Johnny like a jacuzzi with tits on it? Does Mikey Boy want to pay off them student loan debts with tits on it? Yeah, we got you covered. So they start coming in with offers. Now offers are being put on the table even though you're standing outside, adjusting a tit, fluffing a hat, flicking a cigarette. There's a table somehow. Offers on it, accumulating offers. Let that come in. After a little while, now they know you're playing ball. Now you let them know you're playing ball. Let them know you're playing ball. How would you let them know? Squeeze a tit and be like, boys, I'm ready to play ball. And that's when it starts. The many steps as to, you want to go about wearing a wire. I'll make it very simple. I'll make it, you don't want to go in there, people looking at you like you're not wearing a wire, because that'd be strange. You don't want to go in there and have people looking at you like you are wearing a wire, because that also would be strange. So you don't want to go too extreme on either side. You want to go in the facility, in that company, in that building that you're supposed to gather intel from, and look as if, you could potentially be wearing a wire, but you could also potentially look like you're not wearing a wire. You could just be like any guy, any gal that works in the neighborhood. It doesn't even matter, but you're wearing a wire. And what you want to do is just walk in there and let them know, let everybody know. You walked into the building, security greets you, and just casually say something along the lines of, I'm not wearing a wire. Just like that. Super cash, on the DL, let them feel, you keep saying it a couple of times just in case it doesn't resonate at first, and hopefully it is a large, lobby so that it echoes. So when you do say something very casual like, I'm not wearing a wire, it echoes and it just keeps going back a few times. I'm not wearing a wire. And just let everybody know right from the ground up. You want to get in the elevator and be like, people are making small talk. It's 44 flights, up to the penthouses where you got to go and collect the data, the intel. And just people keep coming in the elevator. How's your day? Great weather we're having. Oh, the baseball teams are doing well. How about that hockey? How about that slapstick? How about them touchdowns? How about them swishes? What? I'm not wearing a wire. Throw it out there. Just regular everyday conversation. Boop, you're on the penthouse floor. Exit. Secretary's meeting you right at the front door. Desk. Doesn't matter. There's a desk and there's a door right at the front. Walk in there casually. Casual as a fucking... Just casual as a pair of casually fitted khakis. Not slim fit, not skinny, not baggy. Casual. Just loose fit, not too tight, not too loose. Not wearing a wire. Let the secretary know. Next thing you know, boom, you're in the meeting room at the head of the office table with the head of the office and the fucking CEOs, the CFOs, the fucking chiefs, the ladies wearing the skirts with the tops as well. Heavy on the tops, but the pencil skirts are looking nice. And she's got her hair in a bun. That's who you need to see. That's who's the insider on the outside. You're meeting another insider. And right next to her, there's a fella in a tux. Maybe not a full tux, but a suit, a fancy suit. Maybe he's got some sort of fancy French buttons or cufflinks on his wrist. Ooh, and it's got his initials on it. That's the man you're collecting data from. And lean into him. Get close. He's not seen you before, and he's wondering how you got into the building. Just casually let everybody know, I'm not wearing a wire. Just say that. Resume to sit down after they've been, and that's the thing. You'd think it'd be much more difficult, but they've been late. They're late for this meeting. This meeting needs to go on right now. It's half an hour late. Let's get the presentation in and out. Bang, bang, boom. The deals need to be closed. The company needs to merge. We need to buy them out right now, right under their noses, man. When it's going down, we buy the dip. And that's when you collect the data. Say that again. We buy the dip. Consolidate. collect the data as you're exiting the room. I'm not wearing a wire. Casually exit the room, get in the elevator. People keep popping in, popping out. I'm not wearing a wire. Keep saying these very casual phrases until you eventually get out of the building. And as you're exiting, say goodbye to the security guard downstairs and say, I'm not wearing a wire. Casually exit scene. And that is how you would potentially wear a wire, in case anybody is out there being approached, in case you want to apply for a job that requires you to wear a wire, in case you're not comfortable at first. I think we covered all the bases. You don't want to seem too comfortable, but you don't want to be like, I'm not the type. Innovate. A lot of people do stick it on their body. Use your cleavage if you've got tits. Fellas, if your pecs kind of create a cleavage, a male cleavage, a mleavage. That's right, a mleavage. That's male cleavage. Stick it right in between the tits. Just have it just barely poking out right there. Maybe undo a couple of buttons, not too far down because you don't want the wire to be revealed. Although, reveal the wire and play it cool. And if you wear a wire every day, they're gonna know you as the wire gal or wire guy. So it's like, if you wear it every day and let it pop out a little bit, they'll just think that you wear a wire on a regular. So is he wearing a wire? No, that's just Johnny Wires, because he always what? Wears a wire, as if he's not what? Wearing a wire, because it's just regular John activity. Classic John wired up, but not wired up, because we're used to seeing him like that. Bing, bang, boom. Stick it in your ass. That always helps. A lot of people, excuse me, a lot of people sometimes are like, man, I'm not comfortable with cleavage or mleavage. The asshole works, but you gotta, that's when it gets tricky. You gotta just back it up a little bit. You gotta back it up a little bit into whoever you're trying to get close to, and just try to, like, it's harder to pop up your ass near someone's mouth. Not impossible. Maybe later in the evening when you take them out to a local strip club, get your ass, wires in the ass, strip club situation. Everybody's had a couple of shots of vodka and tequila. Now we're loose. Ass to face. Collect the data. Ass to face. In your vag, ladies, you've got more to work with here. Stick a wire in your vag. Same situation. It's hard to get an ass close to somebody's face to gather intel, but it's much, much easier to get a vagina close to a face to gather intel. So in case you're wondering, how do I gather intel? Not comfortable with cleavage, wire in the puss. Ladies, I got you. Where else could you? In the mouth. Just have a loose wire in your mouth. If you stick it up, you're like, I'm not comfortable with getting my ass or my genitals close to somebody's personal space, but I'm not comfortable with the cleavage either. Option C, put it up the ass, put it up the vagina, push it all the way up, out the mouth, and just let it linger there. And declare every once in a while that I'm not wearing a wire. Classic, under the radar. No one's the wiser. Data collected. Mission accomplished. Sometimes. Luckily, there are a ton of opportunities, is all I'm trying to say. So if you're out there, whether you're approached, whether you want to get approached, whether you're thinking about doing it on your own, independently, just fucking wearing wires, just going, start small with just local bookstore, local adult video store, if they're still a thing. Not quite sure if they're still a thing. If they are, they're probably a front for something. And you're like, why wouldn't you pick something better than a adult video store for a front? Because why not? Why not? It makes perfect sense. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, let us catch our breath together. Got a lot to discuss. Next hypothetical, you've been asked to escort, nay, be a bodyguard for a Norwegian heiress, while her father, her wealthy Norwegian father, who happens to be an international businessman, conducting business globally, traveling with golden visas and passports, access to many nations, a diplomat of sorts. Doesn't matter. High-ranking official. Norwegian. Why? Because it sounds nice. Fucking tight. daughter, 27 years old. Nah, 24 years old. She's finishing up university and she needs to be escorted while her father is in Las Vegas doing business with who knows who. Who knows what? Who knows where? Vegas, we already said where. Who knows how? Through business. When? Now. Right now. And you are to escort, bodyguard this Norwegian heiress while her father is doing business. She's super hot. Father's extremely wealthy, affluent family, very powerful. Father has powers to potentially, if he wanted to, we're not saying this explicitly, but if he wanted to, he's made some calls, he's pressed some buttons. People have come in, people have gotten out. People have appeared and then disappeared. People have popped up, people have vanished. People are swimming. People are nowhere to be seen on the body of water. You get what I'm talking about? So it's one of them circumstances. What you want to do is fucking go in there. You're escorting this hot lady. She's 24, finishing in college. What for? She's got all the. She could just go into the family business. Does it? She still wants to get an education, which is good on her. That's fucking good on you. And she's coming on you hard. She's coming on you fast. She's coming on you strong. And she wants you to just be like, let's get out of here. Let's ditch this joint. Let's get out of Vegas. While my daddy doesn't pay attention to me because he's always on international global business, conducting business with other men, doesn't pay any attention to me, and let's get away. I've got a ton of cash and offshore bank accounts, and you just get away with me while you're escorting, bodyguarding, guarding the body. Escorting sounds very sexual, despite the fact that it's not sexual whatsoever, and you're a goddamn fucking professional. It's not gonna be that way. Has there been instances where it has been that way? Of course, because there are no rules. Okay, there are better methods of but that we're not about doing things better. No, wait, we're about doing things better. Let me rephrase that. We're about doing things better. And although she might be hot and she's coming on you and she's got a ton of money, what do? First response, you say, yes, baby, let's get away. Let's get away. Let's stick it to the man. Whether it's your dad or some sort of representation of some sort of authority figure, i.e. government, who knows? But let's stick it to the man nonetheless, while she's sticking them tits out there with the offers being made with the offshore bank accounts and just partying in Ibiza and taking pills, dude. What a time. Imagine that. You said yes, didn't you? Wrong answer. That's oh man, you thought we're just gonna get out here and have a little bit of fun, didn't you? You thought we're just gonna, this first offer that you get with a pair of tits and a vacation to Ibiza for life. Ibiza. There it is. Pills till 4 in the a.m. Does sound a lot of fun. That sounds like a lot of fun, yeah. But no, you say no, I'm your escort. No, I'm your bodyguard is what you'll say. Yeah, don't say escort. Escort could have its, we're stepping away from bodyguard. Bodyguard sounds much, but you're a bodyguard and you let her know. You need to be like, no, Norwegian heiress princess, I will not be seduced this way. God, is that, and she slips out a nip, dude. She slips out a nip. And there you go. One nip, just fucking looking at you from the side, and she's just casually twirling her hair, man. Twirling her hair. Has got cash offers. Puts her leg on the table. She's wearing fishnet stockings. Money on the table. Ibiza, 4 a.m. taking pills. What's up? You seduced now? Vag in the face? Half bush. She shaved half. She left half full bush. That's a half bush. Never been done before. She's done half bush, she's giving you She's giving you the half bald eagle, half woolly mammoth. Best of both worlds. Seduced yet, she is dripping and she a weta. She weta and she a dripping, half bush, half naked, nude, right there. Daddy doesn't pay attention. 24 years old. Let's go build our own empire of whatever it is that we or you or not. Let's reverse it. Let us get back to nature. Let us build a family. Didn't you want a family always? Isn't that what you're all about? Trying to get it so you can go get a family out there? You want to get a family, do you? Oh man, this is what a great opportunity presenting itself right there. Money, hot lady, and you've been working several years, whatever it is, whatever work it is that you do, bodyguarding, escorting people and their daughters and their sons too, but they're whatevs, dude. You do what you gotta do. And offers are made. What do? You don't accept. And let's hypothetically assume you did accept, because you do want to go into life saying yes more, yes to everything. So she seduces you, you seduce back, and you're like, yeah, fuck your father, who's a Norwegian, father of a Norwegian heiress and his successful conglomerates, global, worldwide business mogul. Fuck him and his yacht. Fuck him and his 2 yachts. Fuck him and his 2 yachts and his 2 mistresses and his fucking pet cheetah. Fuck that cheetah. And yeah, he doesn't pay any attention to you or your mom. And God, your mom's hot too, but she's got to figure that out on her own. And you're like, yes, finally somebody gets it. And then boom, next thing you know, you're looking through your briefcase, multiple passports, pick the right one, buy a ticket, cash, and then dip. And then you're on the run for the rest of your life, son. Lady, you thought it's gonna be all fucking Ibiza and pills till 4 a.m. Now it's been 6 months later and you're in Thailand and there's a monkey on your back and you are playing fucking all the card games. All the card games while drinking all sorts of, off-the-shelf alcohol with all sorts of weird animals and creatures inside the bottles. You're drinking handmade rum with, worms have been done before. You've been exposed to that previously. These are not worms, and this isn't even tequila. This is like a rum / who knows what. It's a spirit. It's got cockroaches in it. There we go. It's got caterpillars in it. This drink has a fucking snake inside of it, and the snake is alive. Out the bottle, dude. Whoever gets the last shot gets the snake. Right there, dude. That's the type of situation you're in playing cards. And you're running low on cash now. So think about that. All these, so it could go both ways. You could have just said no from the get-go, maintained a professional mannerism, got the check from Daddy-o, the Norwegian mogul, and guess what? Next time you'll still be booked to escort another daughter, escort another son, escort a wife, who knows? Bodyguard. We're stepping away from the escort business. Bodyguard. Remember that. But these are all scenarios and circumstances that could happen to anybody, although hypothetical, they're very realistic, and I'm just trying to make sure you guys and gals are prepared outside in the real world, where it's real, fucking real, as real as it gets. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we are very close to each other now, but we're only getting closer. So close. In fact, some say this is the closest we've ever been. But we will continue to get even closer as we grow together. And thank you for being a part of my journey and letting me be a part of yours. What's going on in and around the world? Let us get into it. In no particular order. Bill Gates and China. Bill Gates and China. China and Bill Gates. Buying up a whole bunch of US farmland. Buying up all the farmland. You look at a farmland and there's Bill Gates. You drive right next over a few miles down, go to the next door farm, look under the farm, who's there? China. You get back in the car and you start driving. You're like, I'll check out the farm a few miles further down the road. You drive and drive and drive. A few miles passes by, you pull over, you go up to the new farm, you look under the farm, who's there? Bill Gates is there. That's it. You're like, what? That's so strange. Bill Gates and 2 farms and China in between. So you're like, man, this is odd and peculiar. So you exit, you're like, I'm going to go check out the farm next door. As much as I love Bill Gates, as much as I love China, this just seems very odd and strange. So you drive and drive and drive, miles again, and you pull up to the next farm. And you go to the next farm and you look underneath. And what is that? Bill Gates and China. Oh my God, what is happening? What is happening? You get in the car frantic, talking to yourself, but also calling your friends. You're like, every farm I go to, it's either China or Bill Gates. They're like, check out the next farm down the road. You make a left, you make a right, you turn right, you go around, you go up, you go down, you make a U-turn, you pull up to the next farm, you look under the farm, what's there? Bill Gates and China. Crazy, crazy, wild, man. So you know, it's happening in the US and it is happening in other places in and around the world. Very similar stuff is happening to farmland in Canada as well, or just land in general in Canada as well. This is about, I guess, accumulation of land for, from either one individual or, other nations potentially, or other corporations who come and take up all the land, whether it be farmland or just regular land. And then you look at places that are highly overpriced in their housing markets, and then you wonder to yourself, my God, why? Why is this happening? Could it be because of healthy rates of growth, both in the economy, but not just on the stock market, but not just on the portion that look at our S&P 500s. Aren't these companies all doing well? No, and it isn't because mom and pops have not just been squeezed and squeezed and squeezed until boop, there goes somebody's mom and pop shop. Now, what are we even talking about? The point is that you're asking a whole bunch of different questions, and that's great. And it's just curious to look around and be like, man, why is real estate so expensive? Could it be that wages have been going up as the same ratio as the rate of inflation? You're like, but that doesn't add up. If wages were going up as the same rate of inflation, then we wouldn't have this weird situation of a pickle, of a dilemma, of a circumstance, of a situation, of a circumsituation. That's right. A peculiar circumstance. Let's just say that. And you start wondering, well, if the people's wages don't match the rate of inflation, and if extremely, extremely wealthy people or countries or corporations get in and buy all the land, whether it be farmland or residential land, and they start gaining a big old monopoly on all the lands, and it makes it difficult for all the other people to buy said land or similar lands or whatnot, but it's become impossible, extremely hard, because these corporations and extremely wealthy individuals get in and buy these properties and they develop them for whatever they like. Condos, cheap built condos, branded as luxurious living spaces, perhaps. Farmland to produce good, healthy meat and vegetables? No. Farmlands who like to produce food that's mostly GMOs or uses a lot of insecticide. And remember insecticide, and we're going to get into that as well later on. Or perhaps we should just touch upon it right now. According to a 50-year-long study, there have been statistics showing that there is a significant reduction in human sperm count over the past 50 years due to global consumption of insecticides. That's right, insecticides. What are they? They're insects. Sides. They're insecticides. They kill possums, rats, birds, rodents, and they're on our food. And we continue to consume them. And our sperm counts are cut in half significantly. Still, we've got millions, but still cut in half. Or significantly reduced, at least, over the past 50 years, globally speaking. And like, what is happening? Farmland being bought up, residential land being bought up. and it's becoming more and more difficult for the average day folk to get their hands on property, whether it be farmland or whether it be residential. And you're like, well, this shouldn't be. If only we kept a book, if only we kept a closer eye as to who's investing. If only we kept, foreign investors and potential money laundering schemes at bay. But why would you keep them at bay? That's so close. Why wouldn't you just not let them come even close to the bay? If we only kept our eye closer to the ball, if we just never let the ball drop, you're like, the ball has been dropped. It's okay, we can pick up the ball. Balls are great because they can be dropped, but they can be picked up as well. That's fascinating about balls. When they go down, you can pick them up. It takes a lot of effort to pick them up, but we'll pick them up nonetheless. Balls are meant to be picked up, played with, spit on it, shoe shine it, buff it. Classic ball activity. Point is, ladies and gentlemen, I don't even know what I'm talking about, but the point is that I read that article and it is interesting to see again. It raises questions because we wonder what we should do to tackle these situations and scenarios. And we collectively come up with terms or potential solutions or answers as how to remedy this particular situation. And the best we've come up with thus far is ethical capitalism, which at this point, I don't even know what it means. I'm a big fan of capitalism, yes. One of the best isms out there so far. But what is ethical capitalism? Could we achieve it? Could we somehow look at a lot of money coming in from overseas, and instead of being enticed, like that man who was potentially enticed into taking that young Norwegian heiress's offer and run away to Ibiza and take pills till 4 in the a.m. and sniff cocaine off each other's assholes and get hard, but get soft, get physical, have connections, get emotional, raise our vibration, lower our vibration. What is happening? Should we be enticed like that young fellow or young lady who was asked to wear a wire? Or should we say no? No to foreign money. No to extreme amounts of wealth gaining monopoly over resources. And although I am a fan of that, and that's where it gets tricky, and you're like, man, because with capitalism, you can't have a cap on capitalism, man, because once you start putting a cap on things, people aren't encouraged to work and fucking go get it. But then there's also the factor that you got to look into, because at one point with monopoly and capitalism, there is that, there's always, the game works so that the money, the mass majority of it is just funneled into one or a few large pockets, and they control a lot of resources, and it just becomes very difficult to do sustenance on many levels, scratching many surfaces, asking many questions, coming up with no answers. Where does it get us to the next step? Which brings me to a sip of this bad boy. And where is this all going? I don't know, but I hope together we can figure something out. Ethical capitalism, brought to you by just reg capitalism, and man, oh man, let's figure it out together. Write a comment. And that's where it gets tricky, man. Because it gets tricky. It's hard to have discussions and come up with actual rational solutions to particular circumstances. But nonetheless, we can do it together, and we can have fun doing it too. Which is, man, but it's crazy, dude. Crazy, ladies and gents. And it's not just China doing the foreign investing in the United States or places like Canada or the UK. It's from many different countries all around the world. Dirty money getting just, funneled in from all sorts of places and essentially laundered and put into real estate, and makes it extremely unaffordable for the average everyday working men and women of the locale. But that's neither here or there. But another interesting fact that I did read about China was that inside California, they found a biolab, an illegal biolab that contains deadly viruses, and it's funded apparently by China, or it is a foreign lab inside California, and they busted this lab, dudes, ladies, cray. And it's just like, you hear these things and you wonder, one, how many more of these biolabs are there in and around the world in general, and who's funding them? Should governments be held accountable? And this is very similar because I read about this and it was very similar in terms of it resonating with, I guess, the Schmovid Pandy Schmandy, and we still, and it's crazy how we don't, and this is partially due to, I guess, the momentum, the nature of news cycles, stories, just everybody's everyday lives, just, because everybody's got so much momentum, so many things that they're taking care of on a regular basis. But, things keep on accumulating, and we do get hit from multiple sides with different situations that we got to deal with. But it is peculiar to ask these, individuals or corporations or government officials, what are they doing? Should they be held accountable? And even with Schmovid, we still don't have any clear-cut answers, and nobody was held accountable really in terms of how it started, how it got funded, with gain of function. And this thing is still going on in and around the world, and we are just like, and there's so many things to be thinking about. There's, but it is the holiday season, and it is fun to think about different stuff right before the holiday, because once the holiday comes in, dude, once the turkey's being fucking juiced up, and once the jingle bells are jingle belling, no time for this, because you'll have to take a break, but then you'll come back and discuss more of everything in it, and it's all so exciting. But yeah, man, I just want to know, what are we doing with these potential biolabs? Is there good money in it? Could everyday folk get in on the action if we're just like creating biolabs? You're like, man, I'd love to create a biolab. Never had the, I didn't want to, is could this be a potential? Could you make is this accessible for the everyday folk? Is this something that, somebody who's in the sciences is potentially got their, they like science, but they didn't get all their credentials? Is that something that they could potentially be doing? Could we outsource this? Is it already outsourced? I don't even know what I'm talking about, but it is interesting to think about. Boys and girls, ladies and gents. Another interesting piece of news or story unraveling in and around the world on this planet. Where, you ask? Segue time, skirt, next story. Where are we? Oh, we're in Italy. No big deal. And we're in Italy. That's right. What happened in Italy, you ask? Thank you for asking. One of the largest mafia convictions in Italy went down just over the past week, if I'm not mistaken, a few days ago. Over 200 mafia members were convicted in Italy in one of the biggest mafia trials in recent history. And it just got me to think, man, these boys are out there just working the numbers, working the system. And it's very interesting because you read a little bit, you do a little bit of just observation, and it's very, I'm a fan of the mafia, I'll say this, just because I love mafia, I love mob movies, I love the notion of independence, if that makes any sense. I love the notion of, there's something, despite the obvious, tragic aspects of organized crime, there is certain things that are very much, you could say it's been romanticized in movies, literature, art, or it could just be fucking romantic in real life. Nothing like living life on the edge, always looking over your shoulder, not knowing who your friends are, not knowing who your enemy is, but who your friend is, not knowing when the next meal is going to come. No, wait, you probably make a lot of money. Well, not all mafia members make a lot. There's levels to everything. But it's just, I'm interested, very fascinated from a young age. Ever since I was a young lad, ever since I was a young buck, ever since I was yay high. And then I started growing, and yay high, and eventually yay high, and eventually yay high. Eventually to the point where I started consuming television and media. I started to realize, man, there's a bunch of people dressed up in fancy Italian suits who are fucking rocking and rolling and shaking and baking and shaking hands and making phone calls, passing notes, also keeping things on the DL. But then I realized, as I grew from yay high to yay high, that it's not just the Italian mob, it's many mobs all around the world. But nonetheless, this is specifically in regards to the 'Ndrangheta, one of the biggest organized crime families in the world. What do they control? A lot of different things, but mostly European cocaine. They're big into European cocaine. If you're sniffing European cocaine, there's a big chance that the 'Ndrangheta has something to do with it. And that's not the Sicilian mafia either. 'Ndrangheta is different from the Sicilian mafia, from my understanding, is because they don't let outsiders get in. You gotta be blood, baby. You gotta be mi familia for life. We keep this shit blood, and that's how we kept it tight until now. But recently they've been penetrated. Or maybe it's been more than recently that they've been penetrated. What's interesting to me is that it's a fascinating story that withstands the test of time. It's been around for a long time is all I'm saying, hundreds of years. Who knows how long they've been around? Hundreds of years at least, but does it go further back than that? Where does it all begin? And what is the relationship between mafioso members and members of the community, the locale, judges, police officers, clerks, the clergy, the church, the banks, the drug providers, the manufacturers, the smugglers who get the drugs from A to B, the facilities, the labs, the warehouses, all the different intricate parts of this organization that are either connected directly or indirectly. Very fascinating stuff. This one's the biggest one we've had since, I believe, the 70s or 80s, if I'm not mistaken. And again, we're trying to cover a lot of ground today, so don't quote me on that, but it is the biggest bust in recent history. And it just, brought me to like, man, I would love to just like sit down with a mafia member. If you're out there, if you're like, man, I'd like to tell my story. If you are in the, if you are in law enforcement, if you are a judge, if you've been caught on the wrong side of things and you'd like to do a sit down, we'd love to hear the story. We'd like to share whatever you're willing to share. If you don't feel like you're ready to come in person yet, write a comment, write something about, write something from your experience. And at the end of the day, I wish that, it's because, yes, there's organized crime and then there's government, and then these two lines sometimes merge and get blurry, and there's a lot of gray zones and gray areas, and things being legal, whether it be substances, whether it be consumer goods, weaponry, all sorts of, who knows, everything you can think of. There's definitely connections between some government officials and some, mafia members. Some very overtly, some very covertly. And sometimes you have good people who are just good people and they're just trying to do their job and they're not involved in anything. That is reality as well. Not to say that, again, we're not ever looking at anything generically, because we don't does that shit. But generally speaking, it is a whole cool story with so many intricate little stories within it. And it is a subculture that I would love to get involved with. So again, if you are in the mafia, if you are in law enforcement, if you are in banking, if you're a bookkeeper, if you are a drug smuggler, I would love to hear your story, whatever you're willing to share, whether you've been caught, you're about to get caught, you don't want to get caught, you're out, you've done it, you've had family members who've done it, who are now out, you're out. Doesn't matter. I'd love to hear more. I'd like to learn more and potentially just, learn essentially is what we do, and try to remove the boundaries, try to get rid of the gray. What's causing the gray? Because at the end of the day, we're all one and the same. And if people are, everybody wants the same basic things, and then they go on to obviously, modify their lives and adjust it and customize it and become independent individuals. But nonetheless, we do want the basic essentials. So what is it that drives people to do certain things on the same subjects, just on different sides of the coin? Products getting from one place to another. There's a law enforcement aspect of it, and then there's the illegalities and the crime aspect of it. And sometimes you see the invisible hands come in between and do a little bit of shaky, and things happen. And despite the fact that they're quote unquote illegal, yet they still flourish and thrive and survive hundreds of years whether it's human trafficking or drugs or smuggling guns and whatnot. Whatever you're into, I like it. And I'm in full support of it. Full support of the mafia, full support of the law enforcement agencies all around the world, whether it's in Italy, down here in Canada. And at the end of the day, it could just be that guy walking down the street, or it could be that lady who's in charge of that bar. Who knows? The many faces you see each and every day. My goodness, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, let us skirt. It is once again holiday season. It's a great time to be spending time with your friends, with your family members, but we all know that the holiday season, as good as it gets, as special as it is, as great as it is, it's wonderful. You get to spend quality time with people you love and care for, but it could also be stressful. And sometimes the stress can get to anyone. And recently the stress got to somebody here in Canada. And I read this story and it was, man, oh man, blew my mind. It's about a gentleman. I guess not so much of a gentleman. It's about a man in Saskatchewan, here in Canada, who poisoned his wife's Gatorade with fucking insecticide, I believe. And that's crazy. And I read that and I'm like, holy crap. Because you hear about, not so much, you don't hear too much about it, but you vaguely hear about it, or you hear about it. Like, it's a thing that you heard, you poisoned somebody, but then it got me to think, I'm like, man, how can somebody poison somebody, especially their wife, or anybody who's a stranger even? How do you, like, that is something that I can't wrap my head around, but it got me to think, I'm like, it is, again, just remind me that it is the holiday season, and you might be stressed out, and you're looking at your loved ones, and your families and friends, and sometimes things might get overwhelmed. You might get overwhelmed. Things might become overwhelming. You might be overwhelmed. You might be gooch, but you might be also a little bit stressed out. You might be great, but you might also have a lot on your plate. It doesn't matter. The point is, if you've thought about poisoning somebody, whether they're loved ones or just strangers, I want you to stop and think. I want you to put down that bottle of rat poison. I want you to think twice about what you're about to do, because it's gross. Because man, oh man, there are better ways. Like, talk about it. Talk about your feelings. Hey, big fella. Hey there, lady. Talk with your man. Do you love him all day, every day, and look at him and you're like, man, he's the father of my children, and I love him, and he goes to work and he's hardworking, but we've been together for 27 years. And God, sometimes I wish I could just put rat poison in his mouth hole. And although that is that might be something that you thought about, don't act on it. Just be like, hey, sweetheart, you know how you always hit it from the side? It's been 27 years. Maybe switch it up. Give it to me from the back. Give it to me from the other side. And that'll just open up a whole new window into your love life that you never thought you'd be able to explore before, because you've been with the same person for 27 years. The flames, although alive, they have been just getting a little bit dimmer over time, but nothing to be worried about, nothing to go grab rat poison over and put it in your husband or your wife's Gatorade or whatever, because that's fucking crazy. And you don't want to do that shit, because then they'll consume the rat poison or whatever other poison you get your hand on, and then their insides will start shriveling up and their muscles will start to contract, and it'll get really gross, and they'll fucking like get all tense and weird, and it'll look probably like a scene out of The Exorcist or something very similar. And you don't want that. Imagine your children see that. Imagine your neighbor sees that. Imagine you see that. God. And think about it. How does this benefit anybody except big poison companies? And that's what they want you to do, man. They don't care. They don't. Big poison would love to see you consuming more of their big poison, whether it's through insecticides on food or you actually going out there, getting it firsthand and applying it to your food supply, just fucking raw, right there, from farm to table, from poison manufacturing company, conveyor belt to table, from, and it's just like, it's gross. And it made me feel like, man, I can't believe somebody did that to their wife, or I'm assuming there have been people who've done it to their husbands or loved ones, and strangers too, the people. That is weird. That is definitely something weird. Poison, Not a fan. How do we avoid this situation? Do not go out there consuming bits of poison thinking you're going to build tolerance. I don't think that's the way. I think it's all about just like, again, it's the holiday season. There's a lot of bills to be paid. There's a lot of expenses. There's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. Take a breather. Go for a walk. Go in the shower. Fucking yank a sesh, dude. Yank a hard sesh. Lady, flick that bean. Ride them hard, fast, for 3, 4, 5 hours, however long it takes for you to forget about all those thoughts and remember the good times. Because the good times will keep on coming and going, baby. And you got this. And the holidays are going to be fucking great. So I don't want you going out there and murdering your family thinking this is, oh man, these expenses and these toys and these whatevers, or whatever else situation that you might be in. Maybe they're not even expenses. Maybe you just had a fucking bad day at work. I want you to relax and calm down. Go for a cigarette break. You don't even smoke. Have you considered smoking? See what I mean? There's so many remedies. Find a way. There's better ways. That's all I'm trying to say. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is Wednesday, November the 22nd. Let us get a sip of this. I like to just skirt once again. We are shifting focus. We are shifting direction. We are moving to another story. That's right. I've just discovered, I've added to my little understanding of bats' mating habits and their peculiar ways of displaying and conducting the sex. Bats are fascinating. I recently read an article that apparently for the first time they videotaped or captured bats mating but without actual intercourse, which is pretty dope because up until now we were always curious about bats. All of us as normal people are. We're curious about a lot of things, and bats' mating habits are one of those topics that we're curious about altogether. We're like, man, it seems like they're penetrating, but sometimes it seems like it's not. Only if there was video evidence showing that they have sex without penetration. And yes, we've now recently done that somewhere in the Netherlands. I believe it was recorded on a video camera somewhere in a church, and they caught it. And these bats are going at it. They're fucking, but they're not touching, which is great because that's a very human-like behavior, because sometimes you might fucking not touch. You might sex, but you might not intercourse, which is pretty dope. So this brings us closer to bats, one step closer to bats. Other potential links between the human species and the bat species, they also like to, the fellas and the ladies, actually I believe it's the males, if I'm not mistaken, they secrete a little bit of urine and they just sprinkle it on the wings, a little bit on the wings, and they go off there trying to attract female suitors, lovers, one-night stands, a hit it and quit it situation, mutually beneficial, of course, friends with benefits, bats with benefits. You get the idea. They sprinkle a little bit of urine on themselves to attract their mates. And isn't that all too familiar with the human species? Haven't we all sprinkled a little bit of piss or urine on ourselves trying to attract suitors out there? Exactly. We're so much alike in the animal kingdom. What else do they do that's very similar to human beings? I'm glad you asked. That's very interesting that you have the same interests and curiosities out there. The males sometimes go off out there and they do the sex with, and I read this in an article, don't quote me on this, but with slower ladies, slower lady bats. Apparently male bats don't give a fuck about fucking retarded bats. They want to get retarded too. Everybody get retarded up in this bitch when bats be flying and they horny. They're like, you know, this bat's got the, you know, tight badge, a little bit slow with the vernacular. We can make this work. And again, very human-like. You often see it in human species. Males, females, doesn't matter. Males, males, females, females. Sometimes a booty call is a booty call. And love is love. So that's another thing that we have in common with bats. Another interesting similarity between bats and humans in terms of mating habits. Sometimes the female relatives share love partners. Again, very similar to humans. Sometimes, not in, it's happened in human history. Definitely there were some female relatives who shared a lover or two. And I'm pretty sure there have been cases where there have been male relatives who've shared lovers as well. So again, bats and humans, a lot in common in terms of mating habits. You're like, is there more? You thought I'm gonna stop. Bats enjoy fellatio. Little bit of the old blowjob. Little bit of all y'all, give me the tops. Bats like getting head. Bats love giving brain. You want a little bit of that relief? Let me give you a little bit of bat. Head relief, tops. They like fucking blowjobs. That's the point. Guess who else likes blowjobs and getting their cooch eaten out? Humans. Bats and humans are so alike. That's what I figured out, and just want to share that with everybody out there. I feel good about it, knowing that we're not the only ones who are, interesting and peculiar in our mating habits. It's very fascinating. I just want to know out there, if you too have pissed yourself to attract a mate, write a comment. If you like blowjobs, write a comment. If you've shared relatives with your partner out there, write a comment. I'd like to hear it. If you'd like to sit down and do an interview, maybe we could do that. If you're in Toronto right now, if you're in the GTA, shout out. What's up? What else is going on and around the world, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? We did cover a whole lot of ground, and we did cover a whole lot of topics. I believe we're gonna do this. I'm gonna say that I love you. I'm gonna say that I'm very thankful for everything. I'm very grateful. Thank you for joining me once again. And that's what it is, baby. You come in here twice a week. You have a little bit of fun. You gain a little bit of this. You gain a little bit of that. You lose a little bit of this. You lose a little bit of that. And together we elevate. And together we keep on fucking going hard, baby. One day at a time, one step at a time. Where can you find these videos? I'm glad you asked. Once again, it is another social production brought to you every week, Wednesdays and Fridays. You can find it on Instagram. Follow me there. Subscribe on YouTube for the full-length videos. Go ahead and fucking subscribe. Subscribe right now, because by subscribing, you will get a first. If there's ever going to be a ginormous flood, let's say humanity has another giant flood where it's fucking flooding, baby, you will be on this ship. You, through subscribing, should there be another flood, we've had many floods, giant floods, enormous floods, wiped out civilizations, many a times. Let's say it happens, and you're like, I don't think insurance covers me like that. Guess who covers you like that? I covers you like that. Together, the Gladyamadeit family covers you like that. You're like, how do I get access to being covered? Subscribing on you, believe it or not, it's so simple. You press subscribe, flood happens, first one out, dude. First one out, I got you. You're like, is there any way we could give back a little bit of love, a little bit of support? Because the show is fucking steaming, it is growing day by day, inch by inch, millimeter by millimeter, like a fucking little seed that turns into, that meets an egg, that starts to develop into a whole little human baby fetus and eventually turns into a human. And next thing you know, it's being birthed, and years go by, and this, who would have thought that some liquid goo could turn into all of this? We are that liquid goo. We all are, and we're growing together. So if you'd like to fiscally support the show and give back, because you feel like, man, I'm getting a lot out of this, different information, some relevant to my life, some extremely irrelevant information, and I'm also getting saved in case of a giant flood. How do I do my part? simply by watching the videos, but subscribing helps. And again, it's fiscally, if you like to support the show, it's patreon.com/RobSadry. That's how you can give back. And together, we will continue on rocking and rolling. So whatever it is that you're up to this week, fucking go get it out there. And you're already on top of that shit. I know you are. Love you all. Be good out there. I'll be back here again on Friday. Peace out.